watching Diecast Breakdown with Chuck Ellis, David Johns, and Mark McHotwheel. So sit back, strap in, and hang on. The breakdown starts now.
Well, hey there, folks. Chuck here, and we are live on our first official version of the new live format. I'm joined, as always, by my amazing co-host, Mr. David Johns.
Good afternoon, everybody.
And Mr. Mark McHotwheel.
Hi there.
And, of course, I would be neglect if not to mention the fourth musketeer along with us today, Rob from Scale Enthusiasm. Rob, thanks for joining us on our inaugural version of our inaugural episode, I should say, of the new format for our show.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. This will be a good time.
Yeah, and so basically, for those who don't know, we'll do a little bit of business here and just tell you that in order to keep the show more current and not have us doing things that came out 3 months ago in our news segment, we are going to be switching to an alternating format of once a week going live, or every other week going live, and then the following weeks we are going to have these pre-recorded interviews that we've recorded, some of them significantly a while ago, with some really great people. Jeff Koch, who did a bunch of really cool stuff for Johnny Lightning, Glenn Chu. We've got Xavier from Diecast Builders Club. Really great interviews coming your way very soon. And this format will allow us to get those out much quicker than we did before. So that's what's exciting me. But I have to ask you, what is exciting you in the world of Diecast this week? We're going to start with you, David.
All right. Thanks, Chuck. And so glad to be here with you guys today. This is fun. I love, doing the live format, and hopefully we will be able to interact with you during the show and maybe field some questions. Maybe not this episode, maybe next time. But that's the plan. And we just want to get more content out for you. So thank you for joining us today. What is exciting me? We have got some cool stuff coming out. Greenlight, who is mentioned all the time on Diecast Breakdown, has a car we don't see too often. Shout out to Rapid Nismo in the UK, gave me the tip or the lead on this Lamborghini Yalpa. This is going to be in 1/43rd scale, but it is a super cool car that we don't see too often. We've got an HK Tiny tow truck also coming out. A lot of you guys like these specialty heavy duty vehicles. And Chuck, if you will go to me, I've got something I'm going to call an audible, my friend. I know how you love it. I'd like to do something live off the cuff because this is also exciting me. We have got some crazy, mundane, boring Buicks from X-Car Toys. I want to show you guys a couple. I just got them in yesterday, and I want to show you a minivan from X-Car Toys. Look at this, guys. So we are getting some late 90s Americana, just some absolute beauties. Beautiful. Along with that Auto World Dodge Caravan. The minivans are getting some love finally. So guys, that is what I'm excited about in Diecast. Who's up next?
All right, I believe it is me. Hot Wheels has a new super treasure hunt that looks super awesome. This is right up Mark's alley. It's a very JDM-tastic Celica Supra. Look at that. Yeah. And gotta love that. Something that is also really exciting me is our friend Chris over at SK75 Works. That's sk75works.co.uk. Sells a lot of fantastic diorama products. He has just upgraded his printing system to a UV printer, and as someone who has worked in the printing industry, that is basically like the best of the best kind of printer. He can print any color he wants. So these new decals are bold. They stand out on a black background. Look at these. These are just awesome. These are aftermarket decals on a solid black car, and they really pop. And really cool that he's doing that. He's doing UV printing directly on some of his dioramas now, which is really cool. So go check him out. Amazing resource for customizers in the crowd. Going back to stateside, our friends over at Round 2 over at Johnny Lightning have malaised it up some more with this amazing prototype of a 1974 Pontiac GTO. or Pontiac Ventura, depending on how you want to option it out. It comes with the flat hood or the shaker hood. So it's going to have several different iterations, which they've been very clever with over there at Round 2, is taking a base car and customizing it out into a bunch of different things. Moving on to another of my favorite little independent guys, Jimmy over at Monster Model Works has some really cool new S-scale buildings coming out. These are really cool because both of these have options for custom engraving on the cornices. I've learned these are called up here at the top. And those are, you can put, I think, up to 30 characters. So you can have your own little shop name in there. They are on the more expensive side. I think the cheaper one is around 80 something bucks. And the other one is just over 100. I think it's 109.99. But absolutely, bar none.
Super cool.
Details if you want, early 20th century Americana buildings. So Chris has some really cool garage kits. So does Monster Model Works. They're two very different peas in the same pod, but so you can get a little of each. And if you want to save a bit on shipping, you can, and you're in the US, you can go to Monster Model Works, or if you're in the UK, definitely check out Chris at SK75 Works. Tuesday, we have got the new RLC Club car coming out as the 66 Nova. And normally I wouldn't say too much about the RLC, except it does have my signature favorite color scheme, the red, orange, and yellow stripes. And Larry Wood himself has come out of retirement to design the engine area of this car. So it is
that's pretty cool.
Cool that they
that thing looks nice.
The legendary designer Larry Wood in this. Very good looking Nova. So very stoked about that. And I will turn it over to Mark now.
Well, look at these. We've got some what are these? Conquest Starions, and basically, what are they? What's the? There's two different versions of these, right? So we've got a Dodge Conquest, and we had the Mitsubishi Starion. And I've always been a big fan of these things because they're just, I don't know, they're 80s, they're just boxy fender flares. These wheels, I've put these on different cars before in the past, like on actual cars, and they're really cool cars. So we've got a white, we've got a red, and we've got a black. I'm kind of disappointed there's not just a red, white, and blue, America. But these are really cool, and if I see these in the stores, I will be grabbing all three of these because these cars are pretty exciting. I would love to have one in real life. If I find a good deal on one, I'll snatch one up for sure.
Yeah, so this was something that caught my eye. Johnny Lightning is releasing this trio of Subaru Impreza STIs. They may be WRXs, but I think they're STIs. And yeah, just saw this on one of Round 2's latest videos, and I've been really impressed with what Johnny Lightning has done with imports lately. So, really looking forward to these things. I was thinking about it. I don't think that we have gotten, at least in the United States, all that many Subarus in just stock paint, just as stock cars. Hot Wheels has a couple of castings, but they usually come out as rally cars. And we had a majorette version of one of the latest ones back when Toys R Us was still around that was pretty decent. But other than that, it's pretty much just Tomica in 164. I'm not familiar with many others. So.
I know that there were Subaru dealerships had a thing for a while, and I know this from watching Twice Diecast. So
absolutely.
But you could go by the dealership, and they offered a no-name ones that had blacked out. They weren't super detailed. They were blacked out windows, but yeah, these are definitely interesting, and it's cool to have the Blob Eye, the Bug Eye, and whatever the other one was called, all represented at once. That's very cool.
Yep. Yeah, and then I'm also looking forward to, I don't know if you've got the picture pulled up, but the Tarmac Works Mercedes SL 500 Koenig Special. This is just a ridiculous 90s kind of custom modified Mercedes SL 500 from the tuning shop Koenig. And it is a just crazy looking vehicle. I really love the way this thing looks. Very nostalgic, at least for me. That's kind of when I was a kid, was when these things were coming out. So
it's got RX-7 vibes
doing this
in the rear.
Yeah, those wheels are just ridiculous. That is 1/64 scale. Sometimes we forget that, guys. Look at those wheels.
Look at them, sir.
And this is supposed to be
Look at
a
'em.
Global 64 car, so it should roll as well. It should roll very
wow.
nicely.
I think sweet. I like it.
I want to interject here that Diecast Life and Death in the comments pointed out that the black one at the top, he's talking about the Mitsubishi Starions, is an Auto World store exclusive, available in OS.
Good to know.
So shout out to Diecast Life and Death. There's a lot of awesome chatter going on in the chat.
David won.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, the original David.
That's the original
Yes.
David.
Mm-hmm. So let's see. We also got Bunker Diecast. It's dropping in black this year as a Hot Wheels mainline. Definitely will grab it as it won't be as good, but nice enough. I think he's talking about the Celica, or is he talking about the Nova? Not sure.
Eddie, let us know. That's Edward.
Eddie G.
Eddie G. He'll let us know that.
Hey, BP Custom Creations is here, so that's awesome. Hey, Ben. So, all right. Well, that's what's exciting us in the world of Diecast. What's exciting you? Let us know in the comments below or in the live chat if you're here. And normally this is the time of the show where we throw to an ad break, but I forgot to make those for our live show. So we're not going to do that. Instead, we're going to go straight into our main topic, which is we were talking about obscure lines of diecasts. Let me hide this here. Let's get back on us. Live TV.
I don't know what they want to look at, guys. Maybe they want to look at these cars.
Yeah,
Maybe they want to look at the cars. Hey, remember us? Oh, we're back.
Yeah.
All right.
Wow.
Live broadcasts. Gotta love it. So we were talking about some of the more obscure runs of diecast cars, and we've done this over a couple of episodes, and we wanted to talk about some of the ones that have stood out to us over the years. And I wanted to kick things off by speaking of Larry Wood, going back to a very old school line of toys that not a lot of people know about, and I'm surprised how many people get the name wrong, but they were called Crackups, and these are from the Blackline era. I'm holding up a police car version now. All of the Crackups were designed by Larry Wood. They were part of a series of experiments that happened in the 70s, where they got a bunch of toys and parts and springs together at Hot Wheels. And we know this because Bruce Pascal told us about it when he was on the show and said, go nuts, come up with whatever you could. And Crackups was one of those things. And it only ran for a few years. This car is based on the Chevy Malibu taxi cab that they had, although it has been changed slightly to be a nondescript. It's kind of a Chevy Malibu, kind of a Chevy Caprice. And its whole thing was you hit it on the side here and boom, you got some damage. And that's why all of those cars were fantasy cars, because nobody really at the time wanted to license damaged versions of their vehicles. So you'll notice with a lot of those cars, they are not branded as actual cars. Now, those gave way to some cars called the Flip Outs, which came a few years later. I believe they were 86 or 87. Rob can correct me on that one, but I don't know. Now, those actually, a few of those were branded. This one I've got is a Camaro branded one, and it was another product of that experimental phase, and it had a little door on the bottom that would flip and lock into place, and there's a little impact trigger, and when you'd flip, when the car would hit, it would trigger that and flip the car sideways. Some of them would flip forward, some of them would flip backwards, some of them were branded, some of them were fantasy. But this is one that's been in my collection for about 35 years, and
so
very glad to still have it.
Chuck, would that have been sold as a main line back in the day?
So it would have been sold as a specialty car. Like it would have been kind of like a not an upper premium, but it would have been like, the special series, like the Corvette series that they just had. Yeah. So they would have been like $2 or $3 instead of $1. But they were usually also sold in packs. They would come in like a 2-pack because what good is one crashable car if you can't crash it into another? Sure. There was also several tracks and play sets that came with it. One of my bucket list items to get is they had a crash and smash test set that was like a test facility with like walls and cones and ramps and stuff that you could smash the cars into. And that's one of the things that I would like to add to my collection someday. So those are pretty well known, but some that are less known after Hot Wheels was kind of quiet on that front for a while. And then came the Crashers series, which was kind of, it was okay. They had a few cool cars in it, but then the Crashers 2 series came out, and I've got one here that is brand new in the box. It has been in the box since, I believe this is 1999. Yep, 1999. So I'm going to crack this one open today, but this is really cool because what's great about these cars was, again, not branded, but they were, the Crashers 2 were called Double the Damage because there were 2 different points of actuation on this one. And this one actually knocked loose, and it's very hard to find them still intact out of the box because of that, because there were actually parts of the car that were designed to fly off. So, you know, that's one of those, what were they thinking kind of things that after the fact, you know, it's like, oh yeah, every kid is going to immediately lose these. I've come across several of these cars. And this one was called, I should have looked at it before I ripped the packaging open. It's called the Exploder, and it looks a lot like a Camaro. I'm not going to take it all the way out of the package because it's wired in there, but it's got a little driver, and the driver would actually bust through the roof on it, and it had an actual, this is a heavy, this is actually die-cast metal hood that would clip onto it on the front, and then that would go flying as well. And it was actually triggered by the exhaust pipes in the back stick out, and you hit the exhaust pipes and the hood would pop off, and it comes with this cool little building that breaks away. And each one of these cars, again, these would not have come as, you know, mainlines at all. They only came as these special playset things. So it comes with a little ice cream stand that's designed to blow apart and destroy itself. So that kind of gave way to another thing when the monster trucks really started to become a thing, and that was the Crash and Smash series. This one is from 2003, and it comes with a breakaway RV. I'm going to crack this one open here because the action on these trucks is also really cool. And basically, oh, there went the RV. We're not talking about the RV right now. So the truck would be like this normally, and then when it would crash, it would buckle in on itself, and the door would pop open on the other side to make it look like, I don't know, like the cab of the truck actually had the door burst open, which is funny because these would have been solid fiberglass trucks that wouldn't have had operating doors. But that's beside the point. Anyway, that's what I had to talk about. David, what do you got to talk about as your favorite lines of obscure Hot Wheels or diecast cars in general?
Well, I've only got one thing to show, but I did want, if our viewers want to play along, I thought we would have a little challenge, because I'll be honest, I was not collecting hardcore when 10, 15, 20 years ago. So what I would like to do, I want to see if anybody remembers, he said, some of these obscure series that came out. Okay, so the first one, I don't know if you can see, it's got Cartoon Network. It's got, some other sponsors on here. Without looking too much through my masking efforts, does anybody know what this series was? This was back, I think, around the early 2000s, based off of an animated series. Anybody got any guess? Looks like we got one in the chat.
Yep, there are still some people that collect these, by the way, David.
These things are crazy valuable.
Yeah.
You guys may or may not know.
I've never even heard of the show.
So the Acceleracers, and shout out to Brady Davidson for nailing it. Animated series of 4 animated movies and TV shows by Mattel that continue the story from the original Highway 35 World Race movie. So Fast and Furious before it was even cool, I guess. And yeah, these things are actually pretty valuable. I saw one in a antique store long time ago, missed it. I should have bought it. It was $15. Went home. That joker was selling for like $75 on eBay. I don't collect for value or resell or anything like that, but it was an eye-opening thing for me. All right. Number 2, guys, I wonder if anybody has seen any cards like this on Hot Wheels. And If you're on the show as a host, don't say it. But have any of the viewers ever seen these with the Japanese text on them? And I've got one here that we're going to look at. This is really cool stuff. Really glad we did this segment, guys. Seeing if anybody, rather than wait, I'm going to show you. So this is an actual one, and these are all based off of shows in Japan, made exclusively for the Japanese market. Bandai teamed up with Hot Wheels to do this series called the Chara Wheels, exclusively for the Japanese market between 2002 2004, approximately 1/64 scale. These are all based on movies and television shows popular in Japan at that time. Chara Wheels, another series that I learned about getting ready for this show. Last one. This is goofy, guys. Have you guys ever seen this? And it wouldn't even be in the toy aisle. It would be in your office supply or school supply aisle. How about this series? And they were carded.
What are those?
These are erasers.
What?
So you've got a bone shaker eraser. These are called Hot Wheels Craze Erasers. Craze Racers. And it's a new line of collectible erasers in the shape of familiar models designed to build like a puzzle, I guess like Voltron or something. And apparently they were pretty good erasers. So wild stuff. Mattel has done just about anything you can imagine. And we're pretty excited to bring some of these crazy series to you guys today. So that's what I was going to show off today, Chuck. I'm curious to see what Rob and Mark have in theirs as well. So hope you guys enjoyed that little contest. That was fun.
All right, Mark, take it away.
You got some weird ones just chilling next to me. Right now I just looked down at them, saw some weird stuff. So I don't know if you guys have seen these stuff before on my channel, but we've got these coal cars from Matchbox. And these are Christmas. I'm missing the card. I already opened it up, but these are Christmas time coal cars. And they come, as you can see here on the bottom, got Santa Claus. It's like, oh, you've been bad. And let's open these guys up and see what's inside. Because I honestly can't even remember. It's been, probably at least a year since I cracked these things open. So you have these little coal cars, and this is what's inside of them. We got a little fire engine here. Yeah, it's somewhat functioning. Let's see here. This goes up, but it doesn't pull out. So that
I will refrain from comment there.
Yep. And then we've got this other one that has, I don't know what this is.
It's lights.
Little,
There
lights, cameras, action. No, it's a little utility type of deal. I mean, these are for kids and for David. David likes this kind of stuff, kid stuff. But
Hey-o.
yeah, this is, I thought this was really cool. Like as a kid to get this, if you're bad, I think it's a pretty cool thing. So next thing is I found this I think at a thrift store, but we've got these this 1/40th scale Matchbox.
Oh man, I remember those.
Yeah, I didn't even really realize that they had this size. Like they're big, and
They're
this
weighty.
one was made. They're really weighty. This one was a year before my birth, 1983. And they're called the Matchbox Specials. This is a Ferrari 512 BB, and this is made in China right here. But the colors are really cool, and they scream 80s. And this thing's in pretty decent shape for its age. So I thought that was really cool. I'd show everybody that. This is a really obscure one that I found. Gosh, where did I find that? I think I found this at a garage sale. The lady that has all the diecast cars, and this was in a bucket. This is, I believe it's like a Lamborghini or something. It's like a prototype, and this is a pullback, and it says PF Modulo SS904 is Hong Kong, but it's a pullback, so you can see all these little gears in here, and you pull it back, and then this thing pops. This slides open and shut, so you can put your little figurines in there. So again, I don't know what year this was made, but it looks 80s to me, probably early 80s. I think this thing's pretty cool. So it's still in phenomenal shape. And then the last thing I have here is another car that I've found out at a thrift store is a Buddy L.
Buddy L, yes.
Yeah, Buddy L Speed Shop. And these, you look at these, you wouldn't think that they're made in Japan, but this is out of Japan. And these are pretty cool little T-bucket. And they're I don't know, I would say they're obscure, but it's kind of just reminds me of the, I think this is an 80s car as well. So that's all I've got. But I thought these are pretty cool. These are cars that I've just grabbed over the years when I've been at like vintage kind of places, and just like it screams weird, so I grab it. So I thought those are pretty cool.
Well
Absolutely.
done. Yeah, those were cool.
Very cool. All right, Rob, what do you got?
Yeah, I've got a couple of things to talk about here. I don't know if I'd call this first one my favorite. Chuck, I don't know if you've got a picture. I don't have one in my collection, but this was actually the first series that Auto World did, and it was released back in 2012. There we go. There's the picture of it. So again, this was the very first Auto World, like their first foray into at least 1/64 scale diecast, and they called these the true limited edition cars. So we've got this Dodge Challenger here. You can see it says 1 of 5,000, period. That is because they cast all these cars and then they destroyed the toolings. And you can see there right above the car in that little bubble, those are actually shavings from the tooling that was used to make these things. Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of, it's ridiculous. It's not
something very punk rock for diecast.
Seen before. Yeah. Or seen since. But we have, limited editions that you have maybe a numbered car, or you might have even like a Hot Wheels final run where they say they destroyed the toolings, but here you actually get the evidence. Now, this personally doesn't do anything for me. I think it's kind of silly to destroy these tools and never be able to go back and revisit these cars. But if you're into that limited edition and really just, it's never going to come around again, this is the car for you. So anyway, they made about almost 15,000 total castings. There were 5,000 in black here. There were 5,000 in white. There were 3,000 in silver. And then there were 1,500 in orange. And I don't know what they retailed for. Again, they came out in 2012. It was probably, I vaguely remember, like $10. So today you can pick them up for between $30 to $50, depending on the color. This was the only casting that was released. They had plans to do a Camaro and a Corvette as well, but I can't find any evidence that those were ever released. I certainly don't remember them ever coming out. But yeah, just a really fascinating piece of diecast history. One of the strangest things that I can remember ever seeing in my time collecting. Yeah, let us know in the comments if you've got one of those or if you'd heard of them before. But if you want to go back to the very earliest Auto Worlds, that's what you're going to have to do. You'll have to find one of those, and yeah, they're never going to make them again. There's actually there is a video on YouTube. I don't know if it's on Round 2's current channel or if it's on a different channel, but they have a video that they uploaded some 10 or 12 years ago of them actually destroying the tooling. So if you don't think that those shavings are from the actual tooling, just go look up that video and you'll see it. So and yeah, Diecast Connoisseur says he's got all of them. So that's cool. Glad you're able to find them. I know that at least the orange one can be kind of tricky to find. So
and we need to hear from Diecast Connoisseur. Were there any other vehicles, or were they all Chargers?
Yeah, let us know that. I know that they have press releases that referenced a couple of other castings, but I don't remember them ever coming out. Couldn't find any evidence of them. So yeah, and then one other thing that I thought about as I was thinking about this topic was Ertl Formula One racers. Now, if you guys aren't familiar with Ertl, they're not around as much anymore, but especially in the 90s and kind of in my childhood, they were a very prominent like farm toy manufacturer.
Yeah,
they
still are.
They had a lot of die-cast tractors and then trucks and things that you would find around a farm. So that's always what they've been in my mind. And even before that, they did have a more traditional line of, 1/64 scale, 3-inch die-cast cars, but they really focused pretty heavily on classic American muscle cars. So I found this piece that you see here, this picture of, several years ago, and it is a McLaren M26 from the late 70s Formula One racing. And this is actually James Hunt's car. If you've seen the movie Rush, and you know all about James Hunt. And yeah, they produced a number of Formula One cars back in either the late 70s or early 80s. I wasn't able to confirm exactly when they were made, but all of the F1 cars were made or were from the seasons in the late 70s. They all had accurate liveries. Even you see here, we've got a tobacco company on this one. There were a couple of other tobacco companies that appeared on these cars, and they did a couple of McLarens. They did some Lotuses, and they even did the Tyrrell P34, which, if you're familiar with your F1 history, you might remember seeing a 6-wheeled car that had a big rear tire, just like this one does, but it had 2 very small front tires on each side.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and so Ertl produced that as well. So these are actually pretty nice given their age. As far as the detail and the paint and the stickers go, like, you're not going to find much that looks better that's that old. So these are really cool, and just again something that, especially from a company like Ertl, just very, very surprising to see. And I was definitely surprised to learn about them. I'm going to be keeping an eye out for more.
All right. Very cool. Well, awesome. Thank you so much for sharing all of those, guys. And thank you to everybody in the comments for pointing that out. Diecast Connoisseur did point out, I want to make sure, he says all Challengers, the others were canceled as true LE, but were released as regular series as premium cars.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And yep. And Diecast Life.
I'm with Brady, guys. I remember Ertl for giving us Hazard County Sheriff vehicles as well as the General.
Yep, and they did Cannonball Run, and they did Smoking the Bandit too. So, and not the most accurate cars in the world, but we took what we got in the 80s and we liked it. So yeah. I got that little RV together now, and I can go.
Do any of you guys still have a Boss Hog Cadillac with the horns?
I have 5 or 6 of them that still have the horns intact, because every time I find one, I grab it with the horns intact.
I believe that.
Brady points out that Ertl also did quite a few Batmobiles. That's true. And yes, Rapid, they did do Cannonball Run. The Cannonball Run series I love because every single one of those castings is wrong. The Ferrari is wrong. The ambulance is wrong. The Rolls Royce is wrong. They're all wrong. They're the wrong cars. But they've all got these giant Cannonball Run stickers on them. Now, a very unique, not unique, but rare thing that Ertl did too is they did a Blade Runner series for all those kids that loved rated R sci-fi movies in the early 80s. And they had 4 different cars. They had 2 versions of the Spinner. They had Deckards, and they had the other guys, and then they had the 2 ground cars, and all of them had Blade Runner in logos and giant stickers on them, because I guess back then they were worried kids would forget what the show was about. And so you'd get these cars that would have the logo of what they are on the thing, kind of like those old Halloween costumes you could get at the supermarket, where the t-shirt would be a t-shirt of Superman, and you'd have a mask. Yep. It would be Superman. It's like, what is this? So yes, Sean points out also made trains too. Ben points out main lines are so detailed now, it's amazing what you can get for a quote dollar. Yes, it is a quote dollar now.
$1 and 19 cents
change, depending on where you go. And now it's funny, now Dollar Tree is the most expensive place you can buy main lines, because they're $1.25 now. So all right.
Hey, Rob, while we got you front and center on the screen here, a question came in from Joe, XLT Off-Road Bear, and see if you know this. Is Ertl the same as the iteration of cars that come out now as Ertl American Muscle?
American Muscle is a brand that Ertl did. They did some or a good bit of 118 cars under that brand. Same company, yeah. I do not know if they still make those. If there's still something out there called Ertl American Muscle. I think that, oh man, the ownership history of Ertl is kind of bizarre. Tomica owned them at some point. Not Tomica, but Tomy, the parent company of Tomica. Yeah. And I think Round 2 might currently. But anyway, if you see that,
I think they do. I think that's Round 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Just under new ownership. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, guys, maybe for one of our upcoming live episodes, and I'd be curious to hear from the chat if we had a bracket of the all-time movie cars, and we just like March Madness, we just go through and we do our votes and we see who comes out as the best movie car of all time.
I love this idea.
Yeah.
I unabashedly love this idea. And
it seems like a lot.
You do not know what you're unleashing by giving.
It seems like a lot of nonsensical arguing between four of us and everybody in the chat as well.
Well, we can't let Chris and Mike have all of the fun arguments over on their podcast. So we gotta
absolutely
do ours too. So BJ likes the idea. He's seconding it. So we're gonna do that. All right, we'll do that on a future episode. Rapid has already decided it's the Back to the Future DeLorean. We'll see about that. There are quite a few versions of the Back to the Future DeLorean out there, and I've got most of them, if not all of them. So we'll have a lot to talk about on that topic. Now, yes, Herbie is definitely going.
Whoever got Chuck started on Herbie, stop it,
dude. And then you think I know Herbie. When I went to that Herbie conference, holy cow, those guys were like, they were going through the movies frame by frame and going, well, this is Herbie number 16 and this was Herbie number 12. And you can tell it was number 12 because it's like, I don't care. All right. Anyway. So yeah, everybody is naming all their favorite movie cars in the chat. So, all right. Well, that is a successful A and B block. So before we go tonight, David, you said you had a game for us to play.
Oh, we already did it. That was
is that the game?
That was our guess this
played the game
series. Yeah. So it was so good.
It was so good we didn't even notice it was happening. I thought you were just being coy with your picks. So
it's so nice we could
wake up, Chuck.
Twice.
All right. Yeah, nice. There we go. So I think Rapid.
Don't play games with me.
Rapid and I need to go to bed. So yeah, this has been the first live episode. It's been a lot of fun. Thank you so much. We've had it looks like we had about 30 people join us. That's substantial for us. That's wonderful. Thank you everybody who is watching live, watching in the replay. If you happen to be in Las Vegas in the next few weeks, two of us knuckleheads are going to be at Diecast SuperCon out there in sunny Las Vegas. I will be at home taking care of my 2-month-old, who is 2 months old today, actually. So we got to go take our 2-month picture. But so I'm going to be manning things here. We're going to try to go live from the Vegas show. The Sunday is the last day of the show, so I don't know if it'll be on Sunday or if we'll do it on Saturday, just so because I know these guys are going to have planes to catch. But we hope you'll join us. Be sure to like, subscribe, hit the bell so you know when we're coming out with stuff. We are on all of the various socials. You can find all of these guys at the links in the description below. You can check out Mark at That's a Man Diecast, David Johns at Twice Diecast, and of course Rob, our amazing first special guest on the live full version of the show at Scale Enthusiasm. Rob, thank you so much for joining us today. It has been a blast as always.
Rob.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me on.
All right, guys, do you have anything else to share before we sign off today?
That was fun.
That was fun.
You guys have got to make sure you catch the Vegas recap. It's going to for those of us that are going, we're going to get you some good content, talk to some great people. I think you're really going to enjoy it.
All right. Well, and again, thank you so much. And a big shout out to our patrons and members who help keep the show running, who have paid for us getting this StreamYard today. So it would not be possible without you. So we love you. We like you. We are glad you're here. We're glad we're here. We're glad everyone's here. So until next time, stay fresh, cheese bags.